So June 2025 is packed with transits that don't just stir up the energy, they actually finally move things forward. And whether you're planning something big or you just want to stay ahead, these are 5 dates worth marking right now at the very beginning of the month. I've pulled together the most impactful astrology dates for June 2025, the ones that come with opportunities or tension or big turning points. And in this episode, I'll break them down simply so you know exactly how they could show up in your world. I'm Charlie, an associate member of the American Federation of Astrologers and astrology reader for radio's award-winning The Bob and Sherry Show. Welcome to the Horoscope Vault's June episode outlook. So myself and other astrologers have always had 2025 set as the year that things can potentially get better. June specifically is the starting point of that. There are 5 dates in June that really stand out as pivotal. So grab yourself a pen and paper, take some notes, because here are those 5 dates. And the first one is June 9th, starting off with the biggest one in my opinion here. This is when Jupiter leaves the sign of Gemini and enters the sign of Cancer. Jupiter is the planet of growth, the planet of opportunity, and then Cancer is the sign of roots, home, family, and it's like security in the living space. It's a lot of emotional safety. And this isn't just a kind of random pairing of planet and sign. Jupiter is actually exalted in Cancer. And so when a planet is exalted, it means it's functioning at its absolute highest potential, as like a guest of honor. In this situation, it means that Jupiter, the planet of growth and opportunity, expansion, and faith, finds its most ideal expression in Cancer, the sign of emotional security, home, nurturing, and roots. So Jupiter in Cancer expands and it creates momentum in deeply, deeply personal areas in your life, some that are maybe even quite private. And now you can become more silently powerful from the private things that you nurture. And that's the Cancer instinct, to nurture, to protect, and emotionally invest. And it's the Cancer instinct to nurture, to protect, and to emotionally invest that gives Jupiter in Cancer a purpose that goes above and beyond ambition. It grounds everything that you do in this very central sense of meaning. And it does, by proxy, kind of also suggest that the most prosperity, the biggest chunk of the Jupiter luck and abundance, the most success will come from initiating things based on meaning. So if you're playing around with, if you're toying with, if you're entertaining any of these ideas that don't really mean anything to you, luck is less likely to be on your side, even if this idea seems like this true fail-proof thing, even if everybody else is seeming to succeed with their version of that. It doesn't matter how many people are winning with this recipe or this equation. If there is no real connection or real meaning behind what you're doing, and you're doing it for the surface level, if there's no genuine attachment to creating something that nurtures others or that offers or delivers some kind of care or sentiment somehow, then it will not generate adequate stability. So, in short, you won't get much back in return for your efforts. But if you do share and create and develop and work on ideas and passion projects and things based on something that means a lot to you, or maybe it means a lot to others, maybe it means a lot to someone else, then you'll have this experience where you move an inch and you gain a mile, where these small steps generate huge momentum. And this is cosmic support from the universe at its absolute chef's kiss finest. This blessing kind of energy was not felt and did not happen while Jupiter has been in Gemini for the last year or so. In Gemini, Jupiter is in its detriment. So that's completely opposite to the exaltation of Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Gemini, a planet in detriment, means it's in a sign opposite the one it rules. It's not bad, per se, it's just that the planet's natural strengths are challenged or they're misdirected. Because Jupiter rules Sagittarius and it rules Pisces, both of which are signs of big picture thinking, of wisdom and belief and faith. And then Gemini, which is Sagittarius's opposite sign. Gemini is about details and curiosity and logic and very quick, fast changing thoughts. So when big picture Jupiter is in small details Gemini, then it's kind of like asking like a professor of philosophy to just work as a Twitter copywriter. Like it's something that they can do, they have the ability to do, but it's just not their natural vibe. Jupiter is about expanding big ideas, it's about finding faith in meaning and direction. Gemini is about questioning everything and gathering info from many, many sources, staying mentally flexible. So then Jupiter in Gemini gets scattered and it jumps from idea to idea without depth. Maybe you can identify with that. Over this last year, have you kind of pinged around in this slightly scattered way? Jupiter in Gemini replaces wisdom with trivia. Have you gone down rabbit holes where there's tons and tons of information that isn't necessarily something you can apply in your real life? For the last year or so, you may have heard people talking a lot, but that talking means very little. And you may have witnessed and observed and experienced yourself some struggle with faith and commitment and consistency. It was a whole bunch of overwhelm from too much information. It was chasing shiny things without finishing anything. It was convincing yourself of something new every week. And it was definitely difficulty discerning, truth from opinion, especially where it comes to the media. But it wasn't all bad. Jupiter in Gemini does excel at storytelling and journalism and education. Maybe you have been through all these scenarios and situations by way of trying to curate your voice. And as Jupiter leaves the discomfort of Gemini and enters the comfort of Cancer, you move from mental stimulation into emotional security. You move from this surface level exploration to a much more deep level focus on protection. You move from options overload into choosing really only what truly, truly matters. And it's not about expanding outwards for the sake of more, it's about expanding inwards for the sake of more. And in the big mundane world, you can expect changes in home, real estate, and living situations. So spikes in home buying, in renovations, relocations. Because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, these shifts tend to lead to greater security and personal growth, not so much chaos. Where this is a year that real estate or nesting based decisions can have long lasting rewards. And in some other news, there could be a surge in interest around fertility, parenting, reconnecting with ancestry or heritage. And the exaltation energy really suggests that these efforts are blessed with ease and growth. Also, expect a food and gut health industry like surge because Cancer rules digestion. Jupiter expands digestion, and gut health isn't just trending right now, it's probably going to become a cultural pillar to understand the importance of gut health. This is really the time to seek any healing that begins in the stomach. And maybe there's this big movement, this return to ancestral nutrition or exploring intuitive eating and just generally treating the kitchen as a temple. And zooming out a little bit more on a larger scale, looking at the whole world, Jupiter exaggerates whatever it touches. In Cancer, this could play out as patriotism, very high patriot energy globally or locally, which in its exalted best could look like better community care, cultural preservation, resilience through unity. But at its kind of more distorted extreme, it can trigger overprotection or this closing off of borders. Now, the last time Jupiter was in Cancer was June 25th, 2013 to July 16th, 2014. This was a year that brought a wave of recalibration with increased attention to housing markets and food movements and such. Globally, there was like this surge in national identity conversations and family reunification laws, and it was kind of the early boom in this DIY wellness and home comfort realm, which is a very Cancerian theme. So the best way for you to use this is to secure your base. Whether that's your physical home, your emotional home, through something like therapy, or something to do with a financial nest egg. This year, you use this transit to build something up. Jupiter encourages exploration. And so in Cancer, it's about going deeper into what nourishes you, not so much wider into things that distract you. So build up something that is foundation based and stay focused on what feels right, even if it doesn't look like anything astounding and astonishing at the start. Jupiter in Cancer invites you to lean into intuition, not just logic. This is a time for developing emotional intelligence and understanding more about how to make the most favorable of choices in your personal life. And it's also identifying if and when your body says no to something. Because if your body says no to something, then you should absolutely believe it. Cancer is the sign ruled by the moon, and bodily wisdom is absolutely pure gold in learning to trust your intuition. So maybe this is the year that you discover what type of intuition you have and learn how to follow it to a T. This is also your year to start a home-based business, to create the living space that you need. This is when your home can become a source of income, inspiration, or just inner power. And your life experience and your past are resources in that. They are not points of weakness. The second noteworthy date is June 11th. This is the full moon in Sagittarius with the theme of censorship. This is the kind of judiciousness to carefully select information that you share with others. Almost this purposeful concealment of information in order to avoid unnecessary stress or unnecessary conflict. And it's by withholding sensitive information that you keep the peace. Don't get it twisted. This is not people pleasing. This is not people pleasing at all. This is discernment. It's like the conscious choice to protect your emotional environment by sharing only what is necessary, useful, or timely. And it's a form of wisdom that prioritizes stability rather than chaos and reaction. So something you do, something you learn of, or something you plan around the June 11th full moon is best kept quiet in order not to accidentally kind of summon opposition, to not summon those people who will always try to pull you off track. The third date is June the 15th. This is when Jupiter in Cancer makes its third and final square for a while to Saturn in Aries. This is the final lock-in of this aspect out of 3, and the first one was August 19th, 2024. The second one was December 24th of 2024-ish. And then this upcoming is June the 15th, the final lock-in. So if you can go back over your texts and your emails and your notes and your screenshots and take a look around those dates, August 19th, December 24th, and just really try and figure out a common theme. You yourself might be able to piece your story together. You might even have this aha moment when looking back and you figure out the common denominator of those time frames. And really, the energy of this aspect has been present the whole time across all these months, but those were the most heightened points. The June 15th square brings tension between two contrasting energies, and that is innocence versus insecurity. So, on one side is the ability for you to remain pure and intact and blinker out any kind of external chaos. This is the rose blooming in a garbage dump, which is a metaphor that was used in a previous episode. That kind of rose that survives the garbage energy is still ongoing, and June 15th is the peak of having to deal with the aforementioned garbage. And maintaining your purity energy is the strength to hold on to inner truth, even in the most corrupt or difficult surroundings. And so, if you just keep going in the most natural, meaningful way for you, then great. But on the other side of this square is the possibility of discomfort that arises from feeling out of sync. And this square really challenges you to choose between holding steady in your truth or retreating from something that you know you should be doing, but you're retreating based on fear. And you're not pursuing something for fear of failure or fear of not being seen as competent enough. This is classic imposter syndrome. And so it's a moment when your inner commitment to truth is tested by the temptation to not do anything, the temptation to not act at all, the temptation to shrink and stay silent, to step aside, just to avoid the risk of being misunderstood or judged or even feeling vulnerable and exposed. So see if you can tie a theme together from August and December. And the more pointed details of those themes will be discussed in the upcoming weekly episode. I think that's next week's episode, actually, where we are closer to that aspect. If you start the prompts now, by the time that episode comes, you'll know exactly what this cycle is closing out for you. The fourth date on my list of must-know dates is June 24th. This is with the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. The Sun-Jupiter conjunction happens every year. It's not a new conjunction. It just happens in different signs with different themes. And usually the sign combination and development is consecutive. So a couple of years ago, the conjunction was in Aries. Last year, the Sun-Jupiter conjunction was in Taurus, meaning it should then technically follow sign order and be in Gemini. But due to the degree that Jupiter retrograde happened in, it skips Gemini altogether. It skips right over conjunction in Gemini. And the conjunction happens in Cancer, which is truly this blessing, simply because of the misguided energy of Jupiter in Gemini. The conjunction in Cancer is the best possible place for this to happen, considering that Jupiter is happy placed in this sign. Something that I did find fascinating is that because of Jupiter's 12-year cycle, then theoretically, 12 years ago, we should be able to look back and see a Sun-Jupiter conjunction in the sign of Cancer, but it wound up happening in Gemini. And then it totally skipped Cancer due to a retrograde phase. And so it's like the flip reverse of now. And it seems to suggest that there's been a fluctuating experience of luck that never truly hit very handsomely. It was like this luck that was always threatening to be something amazing. And that while it may have delivered pleasantly on occasion, it was never this experience of incredible prosperity. Like, it was not at the max that it could be. The last time that luck was at an all-time high, or when we saw the back of luck, or when there was an end to luck, was in 2002. This was the last time of the official Sun Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. And it might have been a time where something happened that seemed to indicate the end of good luck. It might have been something that seemed like it was bad luck, in fact. And then 12 years later, you realize it turns out to be the best thing that could have happened for you, given the circumstances. And fast forward to present time, the theme of this conjunction this year is self-defense, and it's about seeing how a matter that back in 2002 might have been difficult to handle was actually the best thing that could have happened to you, in the fact that it set off this chain of events that just continues to deepen the scope of your life. So fast forward to present time, 2025, the theme of the Sun-Jupiter conjunction this year is self-defense. And it's about how seeing that a matter from 2002 might have actually been the best thing that could have happened to you in setting off a chain of events that deepened the scope of your life and that acted as this form of self-defense. So I want you to think back in 2002, a time where you may have been pushed out of your comfort zone, like kicked out, let go, rejected, emotionally shut out somehow. And you may have actually literally been forced to detach from your home and your community back then. Or maybe you realized that your family or your environment was toxic and you started to build your own identity. Maybe you got caught in a situation where you were blamed for something unfair, or just something changed and it meant that you had to grow up really, really fast. If you overextended yourself to satisfy others, or if you had issues to do with where you belong, and you had to defend your choices quietly with nobody in your corner, nobody validating you, it seems that this is the time that you discover how that struggle was a gift. This 2025 transit is not a repeat of that time, it's a resolution from it. Where 2002 pushed you into a survival mode, now is the moment that you realize that that version of you did not fail. That version of you got out of something that could have been very bad or very wrong for your future. So ask yourself, what was it that happened in 2002 that forced you to stand alone, or that made you question whether you belonged at all? The final noteworthy date of this 5 important date rundown is June the 25th. And that's not to say the rest of June is uneventful. And that's absolutely not the case at all. June is packed to the brim with dates. Lots and lots and lots of dates. And those are the dates that I discuss week by week on the Monday episodes. This is kind of just a preface to June because it seems like a pretty important month. And if you, like me, enjoy knowing ahead of time, or if you're a month ahead kind of planner, then I built a June 2025 astrology calendar that auto syncs to your phone. And it includes notes like these, like what we've been discussing in this episode, looking at what's happening, what to expect, how to use that energy. And you have access to this information right where you plan your week on your phone. There's no need to check websites. There's no need to check apps. There's no need to scroll. You literally see your horoscope woven into your calendar. And you can grab that now via the link in the show notes below. Just click your sign and there it is. You are 2 clicks away from having every major astrology transit in June synced to your phone with a full description of what it means for your sign. Now, if you're a subscriber to the Horoscope Vault Extra, the exclusive page either here on Spotify or over on Patreon, the monthly subscription does include access to these digital calendars for your sign each and every month for free. So basically, for your monthly subscription, you get a calendar for your sign every single month, syncs to your phone, a month ahead horoscope, plus all of the cool astrology episodes, especially the ones coming up, like what your sun house placement means, what your solar and lunar return means, and how to manifest based on your Jupiter sign and aspects. So look for the locked episode that invites any monthly subscribers to download their digital horoscope calendar for free. That is included in your membership. June really is subject to so many pivots that there's definitely more than 5 big dates. It's just that the dates in this episode are the ones that stand out significantly. The fifth date of these important dates is June 25th. There is a new moon in Cancer at 4 degrees with the theme of think before you speak. An emotional truth escapes your lips before you can truly think about what you're saying. This might be in the form of a confession, maybe a confrontation or something, or it's just a very obvious breaking point. It's also accidentally saying something that can't be unsaid. Like a raw truth. Saying I love you. Telling someone you're done. Something that just slips out without planning to say it. Maybe it's the desire to go silent, go inward, retreat away from the world, get away from the world, even if and when nobody understands why. It's a time when your body says no before your brain can rationalize why. Your nervous system speaks 10 times louder than your words. And so it really benefits you to tune in. It might be that something you've been repressing bubbles up fast and it leaves others very surprised or speechless. Or you make a bold move from instinct and just decide to go ahead and jump, and you'll deal with the ripple effects afterwards, whatever they may be. And whatever it is you do, just don't rush to reconnect or try and resolve something too quickly, especially if that reconnection or resolution is based on you acting out of guilt or a fear of abandonment. Don't mistake silence from others as rejection. This is just a time when so many people are emotionally processing in private. So June is that month of the year. It's the month that you're given momentum to grow, but only really if it's aligned with who you're becoming. Only if it's filled with meaning. If it's less about who you once were, there's no guilt or regret. Just appreciation for something that felt like it was wrong at the time, but actually happened to be the best thing for you in the future. June is not about more in the grand scheme of things. It's about doubling down on what matters. And I'm going to be back tomorrow with the weekly forecast episode. That's the dialed in day by day and aspect outlook, including horoscopes for your sign. Below are your zodiac signs calendar links if you're more into the whole month ahead preparation, or you don't have the time to check in with a podcast every day, every week. So click yours, sync to your phone, and you'll have everything and more in the palm of your hands. And of course, for the subscribers, then keep your eyes peeled for the very next episode coming out, letting you know how to access your free digital calendar to sync to your phone. And if you're ready to subscribe, that link is below too. Happy June, and until next time, bye.